Hey guys, I have a short while with you too. I just did another live stream on my personal page, but what I wanted to talk to you guys about is how to create a result that you've never had before in your business. Because a lot of times, as you're growing, as you're up leveling, what you're going after may be something that you've never ever had. Some of you, if you've had something in corporate, maybe you've had a 20K month, but it's not been in your business. So that, but I still think some of that does translate. But some of you, maybe it's, you're going for your first 10K month and you've never had that kind of income, or you're looking to fill a group program and you've never done a group program. I know I remember my first group program. Everyone, is in that space at different times. So what I wanted to talk about is the mindset and just kind of how to approach something that you really have never done before and that scares you, because a lot of times, if you haven't created something before, there is going to be some fear, and you're going to have to also embrace that you're not going to necessarily know everything ahead of time. So that's the other, thing that you want to consider is if you're going after something you've never had before, it's brand new to you. So while, I definitely recommend, I've always worked with coaches and mentors, having someone who has achieved the result on your team. So I'm getting a text through, but hey Stephanie, but having somebody, this is really cool actually. It tells me when people come on, it shows your guys' picture. But having someone who's supporting you that has had the result that you want, at least for me, has really been. I don't know if I could do it without that. But that aside, even if you have a coach or a mentor who has had the results, it can still be scary. So I want to talk about some of the other things that you want to be thinking about when you set a goal that you've never achieved and you're just not, 100% sure how you're going to do it, but it's something you want. Number one, you want to make sure that it is something that's realistic. So, if you have 0 clients right now and your goal for May is you want to make $1 million in May, that's probably, a bit of a stretch and not realistic. And I've seen people with goals like that, and generally it's a little bit of not a little bit, I'm gonna say it's a lot of self-sabotage. It's almost the same thing as those people on the other side of the coin who are just completely procrastinating, because anyone knows, like, if you're at 0 and you're like, I either want to sell nothing or I want to make $1 million next month, that's just going to lead to shutdown and things not working out too. So while I do say realistic, you can definitely, honestly, some of the things that I've achieved probably aren't that realistic, and they were definitely a stretch. But what you want to do, with the goal is to really, I actually think the energetic piece is really important. So with any goal, you want to energetically connect with it. You want to even go into meditation and see that goal, see how it feels, feel how it feels in your energy. Does it feel aligned? Is there something about it that, are you trying to prove something? Is this really something that's right for your soul? Is this really the right thing to set as your goal? So that's the number one thing. At least as a spiritual entrepreneur, you really want to care about the energy and the alignment of it first, right? So then once you decide, hey, like this is, really a goal. So maybe I'm just going to make up a random goal. So maybe it's your first group program launch, but, you've filled your one-on-one, you have quite a bit of, of a following, and your goal is to have 25 people come into your $500 group program, which would be a $12,500 dollar launch or something like that, right? So it's a 5-figure launch. This is actually a very realistic goal. Honestly, you could even go bigger than that if that was your situation, but I'm just making it up, right? So if that was your goal, you really feel into it. It feels aligned. You have the program, everything, and then you want to actually see where's the resistance. Like, is there resistance to receiving what you really want? Any of that, you want to do tapping. You want to go in and, do EFT tapping around it. If you haven't got that book, Tapping into Wealth, yet, I've recommended it several times, but it's awesome. And the way that I do EFT is not with all those scripts, but really like just tapping on the tapping points, and then speaking through whatever emotions are coming up. Like, so in that case, it could be, I really don't feel, that I can sell that many. What if nobody wants it? That kind of thing. So it's like, really moving through any resistance you have to actually allowing that to happen. Because a lot of times the reason we don't hit our goals is because we really weren't open to receive it yet, because we have beliefs or, things running in the background, in our energy, in our mindset that are not supportive of whatever the goal was. So you want to really feel into, is there anything that I don't believe about myself, or, stuff from the past that I need to release in order to allow this to happen? Once you have, really, really let that go and you really feel like you're aligned, that's when you want to get into action mode. So you don't need to know every single step of how it's going to happen. If you get into a space where you're like, you just want to do things that feel aligned and take regular action. So that's the thing, the next step is when you're trying to get a different result than you've ever had. So say it's something a little different even than the launch, right? So maybe it's that this month you want to get, 4 high-end one-on-one clients and you've never had more than like one in a month or something. You're going to have to take different actions than you've ever taken before, most likely. So whatever you've done up until now, especially if the goal is something, that you've done on some level, but it's just a higher level of it. So say you've had a launch before, and we'll take it back to that one, and you had 20 people in, and this time you want like 80. That's a lot more, right? So you cannot do the exact same thing to bring that level of results unless, something major has changed, like some variable, like now your tribe is 20,000 people, back then it was 2. Okay, then it probably could work, right? But as a whole, so saying all things are created equal, if you want a different result than you ever had, you have to do different actions. So whether it's, you want more clients than you've ever gotten, you want to sell things at a higher price point, you want to sell something you've never sold before, you want to, do something you've never done before, the actions that you take are going to be novel to you. So that's the thing to know, is that a lot of the actions are going to have to be something that you've never done, because what you've done before has gotten you the results you've gotten. So it's going to get uncomfortable. So when you want a really big result, you're going to get uncomfortable. So maybe you're going to have to, promote a lot more than you've ever done. You're going to have to do a lot more value. You're going to have to do Facebook Lives every day, for a certain period of time. Those type of things could be the case to meet your goal. You have to be willing to do what it takes and be fluid to have it happen. So then the thing that I think is really important at that point is to have a bigger why. Like, the money itself is never enough, at least not for me. It really should be something that truly speaks to your heart. Hey, Katrina. And that will pull you forward when things are uncomfortable. So say, your goal is to serve 100 people in this group program, and it's going to change their lives. Instead of worrying about what the money is going to be and all that, it's like, it's always, this program is going to change. I want it to change 100 lives. I want to have that impact. I want to serve in that way, because that's going to allow you to keep showing up even when someone says no, even when it's uncomfortable, even when one thing doesn't work. It's going to allow you to keep taking actions, to keep, feeling into, I can't serve those 100 people unless I stay uncomfortable, unless I keep moving forward, unless I'm willing to show up. So that bigger why is another thing that you always want to bring in when you're doing something that is stretching you, to be bigger, to be bolder, to take, actions that you haven't taken before. You want to be more connected, because that's the thing that I feel like, a lot of people lose traction, when they're in that process of hitting the goal, because it either becomes too much about the numbers, which in the end that's not enough, or they made like kind of an arbitrary goal, but it's not like emotionally connected. So you want to have that emotional connection, because it does allow you to show up more. If you having 100 people in that program is going to save a bunch of, children in Africa, and that's like your big cause, you're going to keep showing up. You really are. Even when, something big happens, or, you do a webinar and you thought 10 people were going to buy and nobody does. You can't let those type of things stop you, because one webinar or one action doesn't really matter unless you only are willing to do that one action. So it's like getting out there again and figuring out what the next step is, the next step. Oh, Amy says, so helpful. I want to get rid of that stuck part. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. And so that's how you get unstuck. So if you feel stuck in, trying to reach a goal, like you all of a sudden feel stuck, or you tell yourself a story, I needed to reach this by the end of the month. It's okay. So we'll just say it's April. I wanted to make 20K this month. You want to shift that, right, into like why you want that, like who you're serving, what you're doing, what it could even be like you're serving your family by making that money so they can have something they need. But it has to be emotionally connected enough that you don't allow yourself to stay stuck. There's 10 more days in a month. But a lot of people, if they aren't at a certain level by this point, will start, letting go and, quitting. So the way not to quit is to really stay committed, to really recommit every single day to the big picture of why you're doing it. So I would only set goals that really, really mean something to you, that actually have, an emotional pull, that bring you closer to your big goal, whether that's, changing the world in some certain way, or, helping a certain amount of people achieve a certain result. Keep connecting to that, because when things get hard, which they do, I've had plenty of things, and honestly, be willing. That's the next thing. Be willing to fail. Like, I don't believe in failure, but be willing to go and put something out there that doesn't work and try something different. Be willing to really not take any one day and consider that to be a make it or break it. You have to look at the big picture in business. Those of us who have been really successful have done a lot of things that didn't work whatsoever. I mean, I guess I could look at it that I failed a million times, but also I've had a lot of successes too, because you letting go of that perfectionism of thinking that everything that you do needs to have a certain result, or even like in my last video, don't be so attached to the outcomes. Like, don't be so attached to what one thing's supposed to do because someone else said it worked that way for them. I've found that like what people have told me works for them, I almost never get that exact same results. And things that don't work for certain people, I may get better results. So when I work with my clients, I never ever tell them to, just model exactly what I do. You have to also take account like what's aligned for you, what your energy is, best suited for, how you best show up. Some people really convert really well on live streams. Others don't. Some people can actually really convert well on a post. Some people convert really well on webinars. So you have to figure out also what does work for you. And once you can figure that out, you do more of it. So if it's speaking engagements, do more of them. Get uncomfortable. Keep stretching. Do bigger engagements. You know what I mean? So you have to figure out what's right for you. But as soon as you feel comfortable with what you're doing and what's working, you're going to have a higher goal and you're going to have to do something different. So that's the thing, just to be always open to growing, always open to finding new ways to get, results, open to change, open to, seeking support, doing your mindset work, working with your energy. And no matter what, try to make reaching the goal fun and don't be so rigid about it. So if you get close enough to the goal, I've noticed so many people, they're like, well, I wanted a 10K a month. I got $9,958. To me, okay, like I've learned, I used to be like that too. That is really close. And, if you get really close and it was a big goal, say that was your goal and you only made 5K the month before, that's fabulous. Celebrate every single win. When you hit your goals, make sure that you celebrate your wins, because if you don't celebrate your wins, it's not that fun to reach goals. To be honest, a lot of people are just, continuing to set the bar higher and higher. And that's going to allow you, think about it. So if you did that for the rest of your life, then you would die. And you'd probably reach a lot of goals, but you would have never enjoyed any of it because you would have just made your life, even harder. The most important part, and it's the part that I was like that. So I'm going to be honest, like I was totally like that. And that was a big shift for me. Now, even things that are kind of on the smaller side, if I set a goal and I reach it, I really celebrate it. I celebrate all the small stuff too, because life is, short, and this is your opportunity. The most important thing is that you love your life and that you enjoy it. The most important thing to all of us is the way I feel, or the way you feel. The way that you feel is what you're actually going for. The reason you want $10 million, if that's your goal, it's because you think it's going to give you a certain feeling. The reason you want to buy that house by the beach, it's the feelings that having that house by the beach would bring. The reason you want to spend more time with your kids, same thing, right? So it's always, really trying to create that feeling now, not then. Not when the goal is reached, and then celebrating when the goal is reached so that you actually experience the feeling that you were hoping to have and not forgetting that piece. So that's all I have for today, and I love you all. And tell me in the comments, just go ahead and let me know how you feel about this or how you go about reaching new goals. And I will see you guys later. Have a great rest of your Thursday.